welcome to Mälardalen University and our International Week. So, welcome Mbaranga Gasarabwe Clotilde, your former Assistant Secretary General at the United Nations Department for Security and Safety. You're very welcome, and I'm glad to meet you here. In the panel discussion just recently at our conference, you emphasized that each person has a voice. And could you elaborate on that a little bit on how to integrate international perspectives in academia and how that could support the UN's goal for peace and development?
Again, what I expressed is not coming even from my voice, it's just coming from the establishment of United Nations. You know, when the United Nations, after the Second World War, established in 1945 in San Francisco, they established a UN Charter. UN Charter is like the Bible, is like the Quran, is something just we value. And the first sentence is say, we the people. We the people are committed to this, to this, to this, to that, which means that each person in the world has a voice. We are committed. So, meaning that each person is committed. However, as we say, we have a nation which are composed United Nations. That was the United Nations. And the United Nations, those member states who are there, express voices, do some resolution, and that's where we have international law and so on. However, they speak on the voice of the people. If Sweden goes there and the Prime Minister is speaking, he's speaking on the voice of Swedish people, not his own voice. So meaning that he's accredited to go and talk on behalf of Swedish people. Meaning that each Swedish person has a voice and has expression to what the Prime Minister is saying. And that's why I insisted for the global citizenship, because if all these member states who are speaking in the voice in the United Nations General Assembly, where we have now 94 countries, they're speaking on behalf of the people. And fortunately, we hope that before even coming, a lot of has been prepared. That's why we have this summit of the future I'm talking about. Because of troubled world we live in, we hope that each person will express itself. That's why they have now member state, government, but we have a civil society. And international civil society, it means so you and me and everybody. That's why I think if each person expresses itself, it will be easier. We are living in a new age of technology. Fortunately, people express themselves through social media in different ways. And people are gathering to space what are we going to say to save the planet, to save the world, and to remind everybody that international laws, everything which is established after the World War II, was the wish that never again. So I think that's really, what I call global citizen responsibility, accountability, is for everybody who has a voice and who can express it.
And how do you envision the university's role to cultivate students as these global citizens?
Absolutely. And you guys are saying university has a strong voice, because you have to me, education and the universities like this summit of gathering of students who are thinking. We have a professor who are stimulating the student to think beyond the boxes. And I think that's really the role of the university academia to have to offer a range of possibility to have meetings, to chat. You don't have to agree. Professor doesn't have to agree with the student. Student don't have to agree with but don't shy away. Speak about it. And that's what I think gives also the contrariety of if you express it, my voice, maybe we don't agree, but at least we express ourselves. And I think that's what makes really people think, oh my goodness, 80% of the population or the student in MDU are thinking this way. How are you going to know it if you don't offer the possibility of opening the door and having just a debate? And I think that's really, in my view, the role of universities, like also the knowledge stimulation and the voices, the communication, and then that's why political science is not a sophisticated science. It's just what people express. We heard in the audience today a person who was expressing what conflict happened in his country, and then it happened before he was born. But when he was growing up, he was listening to his parents and so on, and they still have this grief in himself because in his country there was no open up about to talking about this. We heard about the case of Rwanda, genocide against the Tutsi. Each year there is a commemoration to remember that. And now this year is like 30 years after the genocide against the Tutsi. It's always like good to talk about it. Either people like it or not, or contradiction or the denial, it's good to talk about it. That's what the history is built up. Your child who's born today will definitely know what is happening. But if you keep silent, you may be interpreting exactly what happened 30 years ago in Rwanda. Yeah.
Well, you said we live in history, and I think
history.
that is...
and history is repeating itself, unfortunately. It's what you thought that never again, unfortunately, after you wake up and you say, oh my goodness, it's there again. And it's like we are forgetting this. But speak about it. I think this is what also cultivates the humanity in us and can just have a shared value for a common planet we live in anyway. It doesn't belong to anybody. It doesn't belong to anybody who lives in this planet. And if you have responsibility, exercise that responsibility with commitment and also with the goodwill of the population.